What is going on, y'all? Y'all already know what time it is. It is time, and it's also another week in the books. Why? Because it is Friday, and it is time for the most uncut, unfiltered, and uncensored sports talk show you will find on social media. And at the end of the day, you will know whose game this is, with everybody saying "No Mercy Sports." Now, as always, don't forget to click the link in the description of this video and be sure to click on the tab that says TrueVictory.com. That is TrueVictory.com. It is veteran owned, veteran operated. Look, they got some awesome apparel and merchandise. They also have some awesome accessories, being gym bags, backpacks, decals, whatever you can think of. And look, once you found what you have once you have found what you're looking for, be sure to use code No Mercy Sports 15 for 15% off your entire purchase. Now, come this Monday, I plan on getting into the gym real soon. And on top of that, the one thing I guarantee I plan on doing is using those at-home workouts by Beachbody, or as it's known by now, Body, BODY, Bravo, Oscar, Delta, India. Now, look, I was against it at first. Why? Because why'd you have to work at home? You know, what gym are you going to where you're getting judged? You know what I'm saying? But look, that's not the important thing. The important thing is this. If you want to get back into the gym, you want to start working out, be sure to use the Beachbody app or Body. Again, that's Bravo, Oscar, Delta, India. Be sure to use the Body app and everything else that you find on there. Once you have found what you're looking for, be sure to use James K Body for 15% off your entire purchase. Now, obviously, you already know what time it is. It is Friday. It is the best day of the week. So without further ado, let's get into today's episode. And boy, oh boy, do we got some good ones to talk about. Man, oh man, let me talk to you. Why? Because look, we are live right now, and there's no better time to be live than right now on a Friday night. Now, look, I understand that there's Friday Night SmackDown going on. Obviously, there's a lot of people out there that are doing their thing. Why? Because it is a Friday night. But unless you're a big time sports fan like myself, like I said, let me talk to you. Because we got a lot of stuff we're talking about. It's going to be fun, and it's going to be a grand old time. Terry, what's going on, my man? How you doing? Anyways, look, let's talk about the one thing that's going to be happening, or that's happening in general. The WNBA may have found the face of the league being Caitlin Clark, but why? Because considering the amount of attention and viewership she's been bringing to the WNBA, that can only go for so far for so long. Right now, the best team in the league are the Las Vegas Aces, which seems to be the only team in Vegas that is actually winning and doing something. Look, obviously, we got the Las Vegas Raiders that just recently changed from Oakland to Las Vegas, and then on top of that, we got the I'm trying to, but obviously it didn't. Anyways, on top of that, look, Caitlin Clark, what she's doing can only go so far for so long, and on top of that, look, yeah, obviously bring in the Las Vegas Athletics. Trust me, they're going to be the Las Vegas Athletics sometime soon. Right now, they're in Sacramento. But at the same time, it seems as though that the Aces are the only team in that city that is actually winning championships. Now, don't get me wrong. The Vegas Golden Knights obviously won the Stanley Cup in 2022 when they decimated the Florida Panthers in, I want to say, 5 games. I think the final score in the fifth game was 9-3. But yeah, so that worked out. Anyways, right now the Aces just won their third championship in 5 years. So, are the Las Vegas Aces the best team in the WNBA after winning their third championship in 5 years? Honestly, I say yeah. You got arguably the best player in the league being Asia Wilson leading that team, and she's obviously doing her thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, god damn, whoever is with that, man, I applaud you because wow. She's a multi-time WNBA MVP. She's a three-time WNBA champion. And look, obviously, it really is good to see a team out of Las Vegas actually doing some kind of good. Yeah, they really are. The Aces are starting their dynasty. Right now, they're looking like the 2010 2015 Chicago Blackhawks. And I mean, look, we all know how that ended up. They won 3 Stanley Cups in 5 years. But obviously, the Las Vegas Aces really have some ways to go. And again, they just won their third championship in 5 years. They got a hell of a long way to go, so long as Asia Wilson is on that team. And on top of that, as long as Asia Wilson is in the WNBA, man, oh man, I really think that the Las Vegas Aces are here to stay. They are here to kick some ass and take some goddamn names. Um, so we'll see how that works out. Sorry, I'm just looking for something right now. Hmm. Um, well, I don't know. Like I said, the Las Vegas Aces are looking like the 2010 2015 Chicago Blackhawks because they just won their third championship in 5 years. The 2012 to 2014 LA Kings won 2 championships in a span of 4 years. So the Kings got some ways to go. And honestly, I really don't think that they're going to win another championship anytime soon, especially with the fact that it's Kopitar's last season. So we'll go from fucking there. Anyways, let's move on to some college football. Now, if you were to go on to Google Images and type in Jekyll and Hyde, I guarantee you that on those images, you would see the Texas Longhorns logo. Going into the season, there was so much hype around them, and it was said that quarterback Arch Manning would be the favorite to win the Heisman Trophy this season. Well, we all know how that worked out. And like I said, the Texas Longhorns are the definition of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Um, so with the Longhorns sitting at 5-2, getting a big win against Oklahoma in the classic Red River rivalry, then turn around and get a walk-off win against Kentucky? Are you kidding me right now? In any case, should the game have been that close between Texas and Kentucky when looking at the stats? Hell no, it shouldn't have been that close. Kentucky was blowing Texas's ass out of the water. When you look at the stats compared to Texas and Kentucky, yeah, Kentucky should have won that game by a landslide, but unfortunately, that wasn't the case. Texas's defense definitely stepped up in some way, shape, or form, and yeah. like I said, Texas's defense definitely stepped up, but at the same time, their offense should have just dismantled Kentucky. There is no way the game should have been that close in any way, shape, or form. Look, Arch Manning, I get it. It's your first time being it's your first time being a full-time starter. For the quarterback position, obviously your last name is Manning, so you got some history behind that. But at the same time, like, dude, when you're going up against a team like Kentucky, you should be blowing their asses out of the fucking water, my guy. That's not an insult. That is just a fact of life. Like, dude, you want to show people that you're the favorite for the Heisman Trophy? Because right now you're getting your ass kicked by Alabama quarterback Ty Simpson, who, 2-3 weeks ago, went into Georgia, which is one of the most hostile environments in the SEC, and was dropping dimes. Arch Manning, look, whether this is your tune-up kind of year, or it's just nerves or something, you better do something. Because I tell you what, right now, if you plan on returning to Texas and being the full-time starter for the quarterback position, bro, you better get something together, and you better get it together quick and in a fucking hurry, because what you're putting on right now is straight fucking ass, and you look like goddamn shit. Like, I swear to God. But speaking of the Heisman, it's no secret that Ty Simpson is looking like the clear favorite to win the Heisman, given that it's mostly a quarterback award. And if you go back the last 20 years, only 3 running backs in the last 20 years, only 3. Count them, 3. Uno, dos, tres. Have won the Heisman. And that's going as far back as Reggie Bush in 2005. The only other 2 to win it were Derrick Henry and, oh my God. Mark Ingram. Duh. Yeah, like I said, there were only 3 running backs in the last 20 years that have won the Heisman Trophy. That is Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, and Reggie Bush. Other than that, it's basically a quarterback award. Why? Because everybody loves a quarterback. Now, obviously, Lamar Jackson is looking good based on what he's doing in the NFL right now. Johnny Manziel was thought to be like a really good player in the NFL. Yeah, that fucking worked out. Baker Mayfield obviously needs some time. Why? Because the Browns did him dirtier than a goddamn Diddy party. And if you don't believe me, just look at the facts. Look, RG3 just obviously was like the RKO. The dude came out of nowhere and just decided, hey, you know what? I'm going to wake up and win the fucking Heisman. So, yeah. Hang on. Now, right now, the way that the Heisman race is looking right now, is it possible that Jeremiah Love could be a dark horse for the Heisman Trophy? I honestly say yes. I really think that Jeremiah Love could really be a dark horse for the Heisman Trophy. Why? Because, man, you look at the stats that this dude is putting up. The dude put up, almost 30 carries for 230 yards against USC. Now, in just a few short weeks, In just a few short weeks, Notre Dame is going to be taking on unbeaten Navy. And look, I'll say this: Navy deserves its due. They deserve to be in the bottom rankings of the top 25. I'm talking 20 to 25. I'm not saying that they should be in the top 10 anytime soon. Why? Because it all matters on who you're playing. Competition matters. I don't give a fuck who you are. In any case, now look, when Notre Dame goes into that game, I really believe that compared to USC, Jeremiah Love is going to have half as many touches, but just about the same amount as yards. You know, he's going to have 10 carries for about 230 yards. And look, again, like I said, I will give Navy their due. They are doing good. Blake Horvath is definitely that quarterback for Navy. Obviously, they're undefeated for a fucking reason. Otherwise, they wouldn't be disrespected the way that they are. You know, they deserve to be in the top 20 to 25 right now, the way that they're playing. But no, you know, you want to disrespect the goddamn military universities being Army and fucking Navy. Now, Army, I understand. You look at their record, you look at who they played. Yeah, they definitely shouldn't be in the rankings anytime soon. But you look at Navy, who is undefeated, put them in the goddamn rankings. But the fact that Illinois had a bye week, yet they're still in the rankings, the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. I'll tell you what. But look, like I said, I really think that Jeremiah Love could be that running back that breaks the quarterback award, a.k.a. the Heisman Trophy, and be the first running back since Derrick Henry, which I think was about 10 to 15 years ago, break that streak and be the first running back to win the Heisman Trophy. I'm honestly looking forward to seeing that Heisman award real soon, and I really hope that Jeremiah Love gets his due, gets his flowers, and at least gets nominated for the Heisman Trophy. I mean, because look, like it's been said, this is a fucking quarterback award, and you go back 20 years, 3 running backs have won this award. Derrick Henry, Mark Ingram, and Reggie Bush. It's about time that a running back is fucking due. All right? I'm telling you right now, I really think that Jeremiah Love could really win the Heisman and obviously be a dark horse favorite for the Heisman. So we'll see how that goes. But this is, look, we're going to stay on the topic of college football. Why? Because there's a beauty behind it, because you never know what could happen come Saturday. Now, games look like they're guaranteed wins and set in stone when you're making predictions. Take Texas Tech, for example. Obviously, they were the clear favorite coming out of the Big 12. They visited Arizona State, and the Sun Devils would hand the Red Raiders their first loss. And oh man, like I said, you never know what's going to happen with college football. In any case, with Arizona State being Texas Tech, are the Red Raiders still the favorite to come out of the Big 12? Well, let's put it this way. Texas Tech spent over $20 million in the NIL transfer portal. On top of that, look, what they did in the portal is obviously showing on the field. And then on top of that, you know, you just think about what Texas Tech is doing. And then aside from that, you know, you compare them to a team like Arizona State. Obviously, in my opinion, last year, Arizona State looked about as good as they were going to get, obviously, because they had Cam Scatteraboo at running back. Now he's a NFL, or now he's a New York Giant. But look, the Big 12 right now, since Texas Tech took their first loss on the season to unranked Arizona State. Look, you got BYU, you got Texas Tech, you got Arizona State. You got so many teams right now in the Big 12 that are on the tail of Texas Tech. And honestly, I really think that when it comes down to it for the Big 12 championship, we're going to see BYU and Texas Tech go at it because right now BYU is partying like it's 1984 and it's not even close. Obviously, they went undefeated last year. I believe they got to a serious bowl game, but they ended up losing. But right now, look, this past weekend, they just took down heavily favored Utah, who, myself included, I really thought that they were actually going to beat BYU. You know what I'm saying? Upset of the century, UCLA over Indiana. Well, we'll see what happens when we get to some college football picks. That's not until later into the show. Right now, we're talking about what the Big 12 is going to look like since Texas Tech took their first loss to Arizona State. Look, this is a big toss-up right now in the Big 12. It's really anybody's game, and honestly, I cannot wait to see what happens. It's going to be so much fun to watch. But right now, we're going to take our first commercial break, and we will be right back to talk some NFL. So, we will be right back.
Love to hate Andrew Anderson, spitting truth that just can't wait. Got a podcast like a punch right to your face. College sports villain taking it over the place. I'll bring the facts whether you like it or not. Dropping truth bombs, giving it all I got. They call me a villain. Well, I wear that badge with pride. Nothing but secrets they try to hide.
Can stop me now.
All right. Welcome back. Let's move on from some college football to the NFL. BYU and Texas Tech in the conference championship. Yeah, I believe that. I'll 100% believe that. Yeah. That's not a fact, and that's not only because I'm too young to understand that. Anyways, let's move on to the NFL. All right. So yesterday morning, I was on a walk to get some steps in on some fitness apps that I have. As I was walking back to my apartment, I get a notification from Yahoo Sports that Patriots quarterback Drake May could be a dark horse for the NFL MVP. To which I literally laughed my ass off when I saw it. Because there is no way in hell that Drake May should even be considered for the NFL MVP, especially when you look at the quarterbacks that are in the AFC. You got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Bo Nix, fucking Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. I mean, look, the list goes on and on. So why the fuck should Drake May even be considered in that type of conversation? But then the idea starts to settle, and I did some digging. Turns out it's not that crazy of an idea when you're looking at Drake May's stats. Now, should he be and on top of that, considering him for NFL MVP doesn't sound all that far fetched. Is it possible for Drake May to be the dark horse for NFL MVP? Yeah, it's a possibility. Like I said, I did some digging and I came across the fact that he has 12 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 116. He has 1,700 and damn near 50 yards, averaging 26 yards per pass, I believe. But at the same time, like, look, you look at this kid's numbers and what he's doing right now. Obviously, he's got Keyshawn Booty. He's got Austin Hooper. He's got Hunter Henry. He's got Ramondre Stevenson. And look, I don't know why the fuck really people even bought into Travion Henderson because he's not that guy. But I'll tell you who is that guy. Obviously, it's Stephon Diggs because the dude is looking for him. When it's not Keyshawn Booty, it is clearly motherfucking Stephon Diggs. And look, I'll tell you what, man. Oh man, could the Titans use a head coach like Mike Vrabel? Oh wait, they did have a head coach like him, and they shit the bed. Now look what he's doing on the New England Patriots. Now look what he's doing with a quarterback like Drake May. Look, I will easily take Drake May over Ryan Tannehill. I'm not saying I'll take Derrick Henry, or I'm not saying I'll take Ramondre Stevenson over Derrick Henry, but what I am saying is I'll take Derrick Henry over Ramondre Stevenson. Why? Because at least Derrick Henry can hold on to the fucking ball. But right now, look, it's when you look at the stats, when even compared to some of the top quarterbacks in the AFC right now, and even considering Baker Mayfield, Drake May being in the MVP conversation really doesn't seem that far fetched. Like I said, the dude has damn near 1,750 yards. He has 12 touchdowns. He has 2 interceptions, and he has a quarterback rating of 116. Right now, Josh Allen is not looking like the MVP from last year. Obviously, Lamar Jackson isn't looking like the two-time MVP that we saw him for the last, 3 years? Why? Because he got injured, and we're expected to believe that Cooper Rush is supposed to be that guy to deliver wins for the Baltimore Ravens. But hey, I mean, if you're a dumbass that really wants to believe word on the street type bullshit and think that Derrick Henry is going to get traded from the Baltimore Ravens, you might be dumber than you look. But yeah, like I said, I will say this. I honestly would consider Drake May for NFL MVP. When you look at his stats, the kid is just balling out right now. He has the right players around him. He's got Ramondre Stevenson in the backfield. He's got a veteran wide receiver that can easily teach guys like Kayshon Boutte a thing or two. He's obviously got Matt Collins. He's got Austin Hooper. He's got Hunter Henry. And on top of that, he also has Will Campbell that is literally willing to die in the trenches, saving Drake May's backside, or AKA his blind side. But for now, we're just gonna have to wait and see what Pandora's box opens. For a team like the Patriots. Right now, I mean, look, you look at the AFC standings right now, and you would honestly think that we're back in 2007. The Patriots are first in the AFC East. The Steelers are first in the AFC North. The Colts are first in the AFC South. And I believe the Broncos are first in the AFC West. Like, bro, we're in a literal stacked AFC division right now. The Broncos are looking like the 2015 Broncos when they had Peyton Manning under center. The Colts are looking like back when they had a prime Peyton Manning under center. The Steelers look like they have a prime Ben Roethlisberger, when in reality they actually don't, because they got a bum ass fucking Aaron Rodgers under center, but Mike Tomlin just so happens to be the head coach. And I swear to God, I will die on this hill and you can put a sword through me. The fact that the Steelers really have a winning record right now, and on top of that, Mike Tomlin is having to deal with Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf. Man, when it's all said and done, give Mike Tomlin the Nobel Peace Prize. Why? Because he so rightfully earned it. Just when I thought that Steelers were going to be the crash out team of the year when they had George Pickens and then decided to bring in DK Metcalf and Aaron Rodgers. Unfortunately, that didn't last long because George Pickens would then be traded to the Dallas Cowboys. But yeah, I mean, right now, the way that the AFC is looking right now is goddamn fucking surprising. Like, oh my God. I didn't expect the AFC to turn out this way. Now, I wholeheartedly believe with another individual that the Colts are definitely going to win the AFC South. However, I will say this. What happened? Did you have to empty the bladder every 15 minutes? Damn. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, so Drake May possibly winning NFL MVP really doesn't seem that far-fetched, especially when you look at the teams that he's obviously got to go against. That makes sense. That makes sense. That makes sense. Just make sure they're up all night playing video games. That's the only thing that really matters. In any case, let's move on to the next subject. Minnesota, so dumb and so stupid at the same time. While I applaud you, Hey, that's what's up. You obviously got to go with the gin and juice, like Snoop Dogg say. You know what I'm saying? In any case, Minnesota, so dumb yet so stupid. You don't believe me? Look at the dude that they elected. I want to say governor or mayor, aka Tim Walz. Look, we're not going to get political anytime soon. I just wanted to make an example. In any case, while I applaud you for what you were able to do with Sam Darnold as your quarterback, I kept beating the dead horse that you should have kept him before letting JJ McCarthy getting the reins to be the starter and letting Sam Darnold walk and get signed for a 3-year, $100 million contract to the Seattle Seahawks. Now, JJ is out, and y'all are sucking with Carson Wentz right now, who was once considered a MVP candidate and now turned out to be an absolute motherfucking bum. However, you would think he'd be able to actually lead the Vikings to some more wins given the weapons that Minnesota had. Now, did the Vikings make the right move letting Darnold walk for a contract and start JJ McCarthy? Hell fucking no, they did not. They made a dumbass decision letting Darnold walk and putting their faith in JJ motherfucking McCarthy. Now, look, obviously Sam Darnold, uh, according to a friend, made the Vikings look stiff. However, at the same time, Darnold was leading the Vikings to some serious wins, and it looked at one point that Justin Jefferson was happy. You know, obviously before he actually considers thinking about requesting a trade of getting the hell up out of there. If you don't believe me, look at Stephon Diggs. Um, yeah. So you would actually think that the Vikings would have been doing good with Carson Wentz under center. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Um, the one thing that the biggest mistake that they made was letting Sam Darnold walk for a 3-year, $100 million contract and putting their faith in JJ McCarthy. And now look where they're at. They got their asses kicked by the San Diego Chargers. Oh, they're the LA Chargers. Yeah, I realize that. Fucking realize that. But at the same time, I will say this. Do you really think the score would have been 37-10 with Sam Darnold under center? I don't think so. The score definitely would not have looked the way that it did if Sam Darnold was under center. Now, again, according to a friend, yeah, the Vikings looked stiff when Sam Darnold was under center, but at the same time, the Vikings also got screwed. The Vikings got fucking screwed out of two wins last season. And if you don't believe me, look at the goddamn game that they played against. Sorry, I had the hiccups. Anyways, if you don't believe me how good Sam Darnold was on the Minnesota Vikings, look at the game that they had against the Los Angeles Rams. So obviously the Vikings need a game-winning drive. Sam Darnold, they were backed up in their own territory, and Sam Darnold dropped back to pass in the Vikings end zone, and he got fucking face masked. You want to know what the rest called it? They called it a safety. You know it's bad when the fucking refs have clear sight on what they saw and still call it a fucking safety for that matter. I mean, hell, you already know it's bad when fucking oh god. There's a eyesight page. God, I shared it last year. But I mean, look, you know it's bad when I cite pages on social media are making fun of your stupid ass. So yeah, it was definitely a stupid move on Minnesota's part to move on from Sam Darnold, let him walk for a contract, and then put their faith in JJ McCarthy, only to realize that leading up to the season, he was having some health issues. I had no faith in the kid going in going into the draft, and I still have no faith in the kid going into the going into the season, even going into next season. Why? Because when you look at the team that JJ McCarthy had in Michigan, he had some fucking players around him. Now, yes, he obviously does have Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson and Adam Thielen and everybody else for that matter. But at the same time, it's like, yo, Minnesota, what the fuck are you doing? Letting a guy like Sam Darnold walk when he just rejuvenated his career. Now he's tearing it up in Seattle, only for you guys to look stupid. And by the time that you get done playing Detroit, you're going to be on the losing end of things. Fucking idiots. I swear to God. But let's move on from the NFC North to the AFC East. And I swear to God, I will die on this hill 10 times out of 10. Mike Daniels is not the problem. It is, was, and always fucking will be Tua Tagovailoa. He has always been the problem, will always be the problem, and has been the problem. But people really want to say, oh, no, it's Mike McDaniel's fault. You know, the right people were put around Tua. He just can't deliver. Exactly. Tua can't fucking deliver. He has Jalen Waddle. I've never seen a guy like Tyreek Hill literally get excited over the fact that he's injured and smile while getting carted off. Meanwhile, you got Darren Waller, you got Devon Achane, and I'm sorry, Mike McDaniel has not been the problem. It is, was, and always will be Tua motherfucking Tagovailoa. This dude has been injury prone since his fucking Alabama days. And not to mention, he's had his bell rung so many times, I'm surprised he can actually form sentences and speak fucking clearly when it comes to talking to the media and the press. Fucking hell. Like, look, after the hit he took last year, or maybe 2 years ago against the Cincinnati Bengals, when he had his fucking hand seized up like this, watch out. Dude looked like he was fucking seeing Coolio in goddamn heaven after that hit. That should have been the nail in the coffin for the Dolphins to be like, you know what? Tua isn't that guy. Tua, it's time to hang it up. It's time to retire. And it's time to move on from football. We love you mentality that you got to come back, but you can't keep it together. Now, one of the things being talked about is who should be the starter since Tua is being moved to the bench. Should it be Zach Wilson to show like, hey, if there was ever a quarterback to show an organization that he was set up for failure, it is definitely Zach Wilson. Or should it be Quinn Ewers? Now, Quinn Ewers, much like the way that Texas is doing right now, is literal Jekyll and Hyde. People really thought that this dude was Heisman Trophy capable or was a Heisman Trophy candidate. Not in my point of view, he fucking wasn't. But Yeah. Either way, look, the way that I see it, I really think that the Dolphins should move forward with Zach Wilson. Why? Because it is a literal shade throw at the New York Jets. Why? Because the Jets drafted him. Obviously, they set him up for failure. And it goes back to the game that they had against the Cleveland Browns. I believe the Jets won that game 6-3. And, when asked in the post-game conference, should Zach Wilson take full responsibility for why the offense couldn't get anything going? And he said no. And then obviously a mutiny began on Zach Wilson. Well, look, I'll tell you what, Zach Wilson has the best chance to do the funniest thing possible. Why? Because he's got Jalen Waddle, he's got Darren Waller, he's got Devon Achane, and look, if you actually want to win some fucking games right now, Miami, your best bet is to put in Zach Wilson. Why? Because he actually has that experience. He actually knows what he's doing. He has actually played in the AFC East. And look, if you want to continue the route that you're still going down, your best bet is to start Quinn Ewers. Because look, much like Arch Manning is doing right now at Texas, that was Quinn Ewers. The only difference is Arch Manning is actually going to do something differently next season, assuming that he returns. So, in my opinion, I really believe that the Miami Dolphins should move forward with Zach Wilson and keep Tua turn the ball over on the bench. But let's stick to the AFC. Seems as though that the common trend is that since Jones and Barkley left the Giants, they have been balling out. And that's fine. Why? Because the Giants found their quarterback for the future moving forward. And assuming that the Giants actually kept Saquon Barkley, I would have sold my soul to see what would have happened between if Barkley got paid and the Giants drafted Scatterboo. I have no doubt with the fact that the Giants still would have gotten Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterboo in the process of this past year's draft. Why? Because even with Barkley in the backfield and Daniel Jones in the center, up until 2022, the Giants fucking sucked. And that was with Barkley in the backfield, mind you. But right now, Daniel Jones has propelled the Colts into first place in the AFC South and making the Colts look like they are the Colts with prime Peyton Manning under center. Now, with Daniel Jones under center, are the Colts poised to make a serious playoff run this year? Honestly, yeah, I really think they are. We're seeing what happens when you put some serious weapons around Daniel Jones. And yeah, for a while, I was literally screaming at the TV like, oh, Daniel Jones, you actually know how to play football since leaving the New York Giants? Where the hell was this shit when you were actually playing for us? When you even got paid for that matter? But right now, the way that the AFC South is looking, it's looking like that it's going to come down to the Indianapolis Colts and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But the way that the Indianapolis Colts are playing right now, man, oh man, it wouldn't be surprising if the Colts took the AFC South and made some serious noise in the NFL playoffs. Look, obviously, me being a Giants fan, I wish nothing but success for Daniel Jones and everything that comes with it. Look, did I hate the fact that Saquon Barkley left the New York Giants and went to the rival Philadelphia Eagles? Yeah, absolutely. Was I happy for him that he won a Super Bowl? You better believe it. Now, look, I really hope that Daniel Jones and the Indianapolis Colts make some serious noise in the playoffs this coming year, because the way that they're playing right now, they could make a serious run to possibly the AFC Championship. And that's including the quarterbacks that are in the AFC. You know, Bo Nix, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, even Joe Flacco on the Cincinnati Bengals, Josh Allen. Hell, let's include Drake May for that matter. But we're about halfway through the season, so we shall see what happens. But for right now, we're going to take our final commercial break, and we will be right back.
The one you love to hate, Andrew Anderson, spitting truth that just can't wait. Got a podcast, like a punch right to your face. College sports villain, taking it over the place. I'll bring the facts whether you like it or not. Dropping truth bombs, giving it all I got. They call me a villain, well, I wear that badge with pride. Nothing but secrets they try to hide. Hard rock in my veins, rebellious to the core. I won't back down, won't take it anymore. The bad guy of the pop.
Nobody can stop me now.
All right. Welcome back. Now, it is about that time to make some college football predictions. Getting things started for Saturday morning, we got UCLA going into Bloomington, Indiana to take on, I can't believe I'm actually saying this, second-ranked Indiana Hoosiers. Now, usually the Hoosiers do good in basketball. And look, I will say this, UCLA has had a really feel-good story. They lost their first four, then they've won their last three. Look, I'm sorry, UCLA, but this is as far as you get. You're about to go 3-5. Why? Because you're taking an L to Indiana. In any case, moving on, we got Syracuse going into Atlanta, Georgia to take on undefeated and 7th ranked Georgia Tech. Now, who was it? Let me double check right quick. Yeah. So last week, I honestly thought that Georgia Tech was going to take a loss to Duke. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. So you know what? I am sold on what Georgia Tech is doing right now, and give me. Anyways, like I said, I am sold on what Georgia Tech is doing right now. Haynes King is delivering for what Georgia Tech is doing, and he is obviously that guy moving forward. Give me Georgia Tech over Syracuse. Now, last night on Villains the Podcast, if you watched it on Thursday, then hey, kudos. You know, that's the place to be on Thursdays. If you ain't on Villains the Podcast, what are you doing with your life right now on a Thursday night? You know what I'm saying? Because why? We have fun on that show, and we do a lot of things. We do a lot of things when it comes to like pick one per row and eliminate one per row. Like I said, we have a good time. And if you're not tuning in on Villains of Podcast every Thursday, what are you doing with your life? You know what I'm saying? Anyways, moving on. So next game up, me and the host with the most being Mr. Anderson talked about this game. Number 8, Ole Miss goes into Norman, Oklahoma to take on 13th ranked Oklahoma Sooners. Now, obviously, Oklahoma took a big hit after losing to Texas in the Red River Rivalry. And look, I really believe that Oklahoma is out to get something, having suffered a loss against Texas. But I really think that Ole Miss is in that same ship. And especially when you consider the fact that Lane Kiffin is the head coach for Ole Miss. And on top of that, you consider the fact that Ole Miss lost to Georgia, and that left a bit of a sour taste in the mouths of Ole Miss players. Give me Ole Miss in this game. Next up, we got 16th ranked Virginia of all teams. Now, normally Virginia, much like Indiana, is known for their basketball program. You don't believe me? Look at the last few years where Virginia was the number 1 seed going into the March Madness tournament. In any case, we got 16th ranked Virginia going into Chapel Hill, North Carolina to take on the Tar Heels. Look, Bill, I believed in you and during your time as a Patriots head coach, but I'm not believing you as the college football head coach anytime soon. I'm taking Virginia in this one. And look, dude, Bill, being a college football head coach is a hell of a lot different than being an NFL head coach, because being a college football head coach is literal round the clock work. Given your status, you're not ready for that kind of work. You're clearly ready for what the NFL does. You know, you do a season, you win a Super Bowl, you take some time off, you get ready for the NFL draft, you pick the players that you need to make your team better, and then you don't worry about OTAs until about give or take June or July. Let's put it that way. But yeah, I'm going to take number 16 Virginia in this game, and it's not even close. Next game up, we got 18th ranked South Florida going into Memphis to take on the Tigers. Now, man, I really wouldn't have considered South Florida, which is located in Tampa. Really nice school, by the way. I really wouldn't have considered South Florida in the top 25 rankings, but somehow they have found their way into the rankings. But look, yeah, I'm going to take South Florida in this one. Memphis, you're definitely not going to be that school that's going to be considered the 5 spot for the G5 position. So, hate to be the bearer of bad news. In any case, next up, we got unranked Northwestern going into Lincoln, Nebraska to take on the unranked Cornhuskers. You know what? I'll say this. I know that Nebraska has a tendency to sell out their stadium. They've been doing it for 30 plus years, maybe even 50 plus years. But you know what? I will say this. Northwestern is looking good right now. I will say this. There is no way that they should have had that many turnovers against a team like Purdue, for that matter. So, in any case, I'm going to take Northwestern in this game over Nebraska. All right, here we go. Next game up, we got 4th-ranked Alabama going into Columbia, South Carolina to take on the Gamecocks. Now, look, South Carolina, I know y'all have been taking a big hit, big time. With you got players dropping like flies, and on top of that, you've been bitten by the injury bug. So I'm sorry to say this, but I'm going to take 4th-ranked Alabama. And look, I know that the Williams-Brice Stadium is one of the toughest places to play if you're a diehard South Carolina fan. But look, Alabama is used to an environment like that. So, yeah, it won't be any surprise if Alabama walks away with the win. Emily, love you. Andrew, the host of Villains the Podcast, I'm sorry to say that I got to say Alabama is going to take the win in this one. Next game up, we got 15th ranked Missouri going into Nashville, Tennessee to take on 10th ranked Vanderbilt. I literally cannot believe I even said that. I'll say it again. 10th ranked Vanderbilt. Now, look, Missouri is definitely a team that look like they are frauds right now. Yeah, they're in the rankings, but do they? Oh, there it is. Now, yeah, Missouri is in the rankings, but really step back and think, do they really deserve to be in the rankings? I mean, look, I will say this. I really believe that Vanderbilt does deserve to be in the rankings. They do deserve to be in the top 10 right now, the way that they're playing. So having said that, Missouri going into Nashville, Tennessee to take on number 10 Vanderbilt, yeah, I'm going to take Vanderbilt in that game. Next game up, we got 11th ranked BYU, who is partying like it's 1984, going into Ames, Iowa to take on Iowa State. Now, Iowa State was recently ranked, but they fell out due to the loss due to back-to-back losses to not only Cincinnati, but to Colorado. And honestly, I think, unfortunately for the trend for Iowa State, that trend continues. I'm going to take 11th ranked Anyways, I'm going to take 11th ranked BYU in this game. Excuse me. I guess not. I had a kitty that was looking for attention. I was going to pick her up, but I guess she doesn't want to be picked up and show some attention. Anyways, next game up, we got 23rd ranked Illinois going into Seattle, Washington to take on the Wumbo Washington Huskies. Now, I honestly can't believe that Illinois is somehow still in the top 25 when they had a bye week last week. It's unfreaking real. But you know what? this might honestly be an easy game for Illinois as they go into Seattle, because, like I said, with the Texas Longhorns, if you look up Jekyll and Hyde, you will literally see the Washington Huskies, who are currently sitting at 5-2 right now. And when you look at Illinois, who is 23rd, they're coming. Yes, they are coming off a loss to the number one team in the country, being Ohio State. But this is exactly the kind of game that Illinois needs to get back on the winning side of things. And honestly, I really think that after winning this game against the Washington Huskies, yeah, Illinois could very well climb back up into the rankings. So we'll see how that works out. Next game up, we got Florida Atlantic going into Annapolis, Maryland to take on unbeaten Navy. And I'll tell you what, I really think that this is the game that could propel Navy into the rankings. Now, let's look at something right quick. Yes, Florida Atlantic is 3-4 right now. Yeah, they just came off a loss, 48-13 loss to South Florida. Which is crazy because the week before that, they beat University Alabama Birmingham 53-33. But look, y'all are playing Navy. Blake Horvath is no joke, and neither is Navy in general. So I'm going to take Navy in this one and by a landslide. And look, like I said, I really think that this is going to be the game that propels Navy into the bottom portion of the top 25 rankings. Next game up, we got Oklahoma State going into Lubbock, Texas to take on 14th ranked Texas Tech. Now, you already know that Texas Tech is looking to get a serious bounce back win after taking Anyways, you already know Texas Tech is looking to get a big time bounce back win over a team like Oklahoma State, having taken a loss to unranked Arizona State. So, having said that, I will take Texas Tech in this game. Up next, we got Baylor going into Cincinnati, Ohio to take on the 21st ranked Bearcats. Look, I will say this. I will take the Cincinnati Bearcats. That's all I have to say about that. Next up, we got 22nd ranked Texas going into Starkville, Mississippi to take on unranked Mississippi State. Now, if the Texas team that showed up against Oklahoma against Mississippi State comes to play, then yeah, Texas is definitely winning this game. But you already know that Mississippi State is going to be looking at that game against Texas versus Kentucky to take some notes and be like, okay, so this is what we need to do if we want to make it a close game for Texas. But overall, I'm going with 22nd ranked Texas in this game. Next up, we got Wisconsin going into Eugene, Oregon to take on 6th ranked Oregon. Yeah, I'm taking Oregon in this game. After that, we got Stanford going into the Hard Rock Stadium of Miami Gardens, Florida to take on 9th ranked Miami. Look, Miami, you had a good win against Florida State, but you already know that Miami is definitely going to learn, having taken that loss to Louisville, and they are going to bounce back in a big fucking way possible. All right, moving on to the later night games. We got 3rd ranked Texas A&M going into Baton Rouge, Louisiana to take on 20th ranked LSU. Now, look, we already talked about this on the Villains podcast last night. I said that Texas A&M is going to take this game, regardless of the fact that they're going into Baton Rouge, Tiger Stadium, over 100,000 plus screaming. Over 100,000 plus screaming at the top of their lungs. Not only that, but they've been drinking since they woke up that morning. Either way, look, I'm taking A&M in this game. Why? Because look, they already know that they can shut out the noise. Why? Because College Station Stadium is just as loud. And when A&M gets this win over LSU, it will show one thing, and one thing we have all known since the beginning of this season, that Brian Kelly is a fucking fraud. That's not an insult. That is just a fact of life. Anyways, next up, we got Boston College going into Louisville to take on 19th ranked Louisville. Now, I will say this. I'm taking Louisville in this game. Why? Because they are riding a high after having taken out Miami, who was in the number 2 spot just 2 weeks ago. So, Louisville continues the trend. They continue to stay on the winning side. Now, next game up, we got this is a very underrated rivalry when it comes to in-state rivalries, as we got 25th ranked Michigan going into East Lansing, Michigan to take on the Spartans of Michigan State. Let's take a look at Michigan State here. They are currently 3-4. But yeah, I really think that Michigan is going to walk away with this win. Michigan is currently sitting at 5-2. Now, yes, they did take a big hit when they lost everybody. I want to say last year, maybe even the year prior to the draft. And yeah, so in this game, I'm taking Michigan. You're going into East Lansing, and that doesn't even compare when you compare it to the Big House in Ann Arbor. So, yeah, give me the Wolverines over the Spartans. Next up, we got 17th ranked Tennessee going into Lexington, Kentucky, and I really believe that Tennessee is really going to show Texas, like, hey, this is how you get the fucking job done, all right? There is no way that when you play Kentucky, the game should have been this close. So give me 17th ranked Tennessee. And finally, we got Houston going into Tempe, Arizona to take on the 24th ranked Arizona State Sun Devils. Give me the Arizona State Sun Devils riding high after taking a big-time win over the Texas Tech Red Raiders. That is sure to be a good game going into this weekend. Anyways, let's move on to Sunday's game for NFL matchups. First up, we got the Miami Dolphins going into Atlanta, Georgia to take on the Falcons. It's no surprise. Give me the goddamn Falcons. The Miami, I'm sorry, you suck. It doesn't even matter whether you move Tua to the bench. Look, I know what I said about Tua, Zach Wilson, and even Quinn Ewers, but Atlanta is still taking this game no matter who you put at quarterback. Next game up, we got the New York Jets going into Cincinnati, Ohio to take on the Bengals. And I don't know what the fuck y'all are doing, Jets, but your winless streak continues as you take a loss to the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, here's a game that is definitely going to be a good one. It's going to be mainly defense. As the Cleveland Browns go into Foxborough, Massachusetts to take on the New England Patriots. Like I said, this is definitely going to be a defensive game. However, having said that, I'm going to take the Patriots in this one. So, yeah. Now, the Giants easily have the greatest thing, most hilarious thing to do this season as they head into Lincoln Financial Field of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to take on the Eagles. Now, obviously, if you watched Thursday Night Football a few weeks ago, you would already know that the Giants not only beat down the Eagles 34-17. I have no doubt that this game is going to be a lot closer than that. Having said that, I'm going to take the Giants in this one. And the only reason I'm saying the Giants is because the Giants got rid of their kicker, who If he hadn't missed the fucking PATs, the Giants would have won that game against the Broncos. Anyways, give me the Giants over the Eagles. Next up, we got the Buffalo Bills going into Charlotte, North Carolina to take on the Carolina Panthers. Now, honestly, look, I love what Bryce Young has been doing this season. His confidence is definitely growing, but bro, you're going up against the reigning defending MVP of the season, and I'm sorry. Yeah, the Buffalo Bills are easily going to dog walk the Carolina Panthers. Now for this game, the Chicago Bears go into M&T Bank Stadium to take on the Baltimore Ravens, and Lamar Jackson is going to be returning. Do I want to pick the Bears? Yeah, absolutely. Do I think that Lamar Jackson is going to have some rust on his bones? Yeah, absolutely. Having said that, though, I'm going to go the Baltimore Ravens because you never count out a guy like Lamar Jackson. And look, just Cooper Rush is not that guy. You need to find somebody. You need to find a good backup. And Cooper Rush is definitely not that guy. Anyways, like I said, I'm taking Baltimore in this game over the Chicago Bears. Anyways, next up, for the last afternoon game, we got the San Francisco 49ers going into Houston, Texas to take on the Texans. Now, look, San Francisco is still riddled with injuries right now, but I'll tell you what, I will take the Houston Texans in this game, mostly because they have a lot more players that aren't injury prone. And on top of that, you know, CJ Stroud is still under center. So, yeah, I will take the Houston Texans in this game. Now, the first afternoon game, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going into New Orleans, Louisiana to take on the New Orleans Saints. Look, Saints, y'all are not that team right now. You won't be that team in the NFC South. So give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a fucking landslide on this one. And Baker is definitely going to show like, hey, I should be the front runner for NFL MVP. Next afternoon game, we got the Dallas Cowboys going into the Mile High Stadium to take on the Denver Broncos. Now, the Broncos had a very impressive comeback win against the New York Giants. The only reason they won that game was because the fucking PAT kicker missed 2 critical field goals. But I will say this: Bo Nix is definitely that guy. The Broncos have a very solid offense going into this game, so give me the Denver Broncos in this one. Anyways, next game up. This is easily a circle win. We got Tennessee. We got the Titans going into Lucas Oil Stadium to take on the Indianapolis Colts. Give me the Colts in a fucking landslide. Why? Because they're favored by 14.5, and it's not even close. Sunday night, we got Green Bay going into Pittsburgh as Aaron Rodgers looks to take on the Green Bay Packers for the first time this season. And honestly, I'm going to take the Steelers in this one because I swear to God, if somehow this game ends up being a tie, I got nothing. I got nothing. That's just how bad it would be if the game ended in a tie. Anyways, for Monday night, we got the Washington Redskins going into Arrowhead Stadium to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Jane Daniels has been ruled out for this game. And on top of that, look, if the Redskins don't have Jane Daniels going into this game, then I'm definitely going to take the Kansas City Chiefs to get the win. But that wraps up this episode of the most uncut, unfiltered, and uncensored sports talk show you will find on social media. Be sure to tune in this Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time time for Game Day Countdown with Mac and James. We're going to have a good time. We're going to go over some, we're going to recap some college football games. We're going to make some safe, very safe NFL parlays if you have some money to spend, which I hope y'all do. And yeah, aside from that, we're going to make some NFL predictions. It's going to be a good time this Sunday. You're not going to want to miss it. Until then, peace